What's good, everybody? We are back. It is your boy Jarod, your girl Gabby, episode 76 of the Kicks and Shit Show. No, didn't even.
The silence is deafening.
I know you're like waiting for it. You're like, wow, why isn't he doing it? I know. I'm really gonna next time I bring and I do it's gonna just shock you because you don't know when it's coming. You're gonna be like, fuck. Anyway,
I don't have to get ready, Jarod, because I stay ready.
Listen. That is a motto, folks, to go through life with. You don't need to get ready if you stay ready. Just remember that. Right. Anyway, Gabby, where in the world are you this week?
Jarod, I am back in Vegas. I was here actually for some football earlier.
Some
hockey.
Las Vegas, some Golden Knights and some Raiders. Wow.
Some Raiders and some Golden Knights. Yeah, I mean, and I will say the thing that I love about, and you know this about me, after working in sports for so many years, I love seeing how different teams do it, right? And I don't mean on the field, on the ice, on the court. I love that aspect as well. That's a given, but the presentation, right?
That's what you're looking for.
Like the thing that I love about Vegas sports is it's a show. You're there for a show. Like Golden Knights, I went during playoffs, as you know, and it was a show
unlike any other.
Going on. The greatest show on earth. But yeah, I'm enjoying the warm weather. I took off with some nice hail leaving New York on my way over here. I think it's because I undead stocked my lightning force, so brought the thunder, the lightning, and then
see what she did there, folks. See that? See what she did there? A little weather joke for you meteorologists out there.
Right. But I'm in Vegas for the week. Excited to be home for Thanksgiving, I will say. The older we get, the more we realize how Wednesday Addams was in fact correct. I'm going to leave that one right there to marinate for all of you.
Shouts to Christina Ricci, by the way. Shouts to Christina Ricci. She was wonderful, and it was Wednesday Addams. Really, really good.
Ahead of their times. But Jarod, what's going on in the streets for you?
Well, we're in the. I was gonna say we're in the thick of it. I mean, it was week 5, 6 NBA, so we're out here. We're 15 games through. Gonna be at 20 soon. Christmas is coming up. You mentioned Thanksgiving. Exciting times out here in these basketball streets. Yes.
Weekend this weekend.
Yes.
Think I forgot. Just because I'm on the road.
Yes, it is also a birthday weekend for one of the hosts of this here show. And I'm not one of these people that does like it's my birthday month or my birthday week. I don't do that. Like and no disrespect to anybody who does that. That's just I don't do that. But go down to a nice dinner. Just gonna chill, keep it low key because Thanksgiving is next week. Gotta gear up for that. Looking forward to spending time with the fam, seeing some folks, and just downshifting. Gabby, it's funny. Like Q4, it's like get excited. You always know these 6 weeks are my favorite time of the year, right? My birthday through New Year's, but it's like, you got mad stuff to do also, right? Where it's like, oh man, I gotta finish all this stuff. You got clients who are like, we need this done by end of Q4, and you're like, okay, but why didn't you do this all first 3 quarters of the year? Like,
it's like trying to wrap up everything.
Yeah.
While prepping for the new year,
and trying to have some holiday fun. Right? Yeah.
Bright lights, big city, I mean, it's my favorite time of year in New York. I mean, I love the fall, but there's nothing more beautiful than New York.
Yep.
When that first snowfall hits.
Right before it gets slushy and gross. Yes, it's wonderful.
Before the gray snow comes. And, that first snowfall with the lights.
Wonderful. The tree at Rockefeller Center is going up. The store windows get changed over on 5th Avenue. I mean, look, that attracts a lot of tourists. But like, if you're someone who lives in New York City like me and Gabby in the area, like it's a nice, at least once in your life. Check it out. It's nice. You grab yourself a hot chocolate on a chilly night and you just stroll and you check them out.
Yeah, I mean, there's even you can go to the food hall now at Bryant Park, see that tree.
Yeah, the Bryant Park tree, by the way, that's a great one because it's not going to be as crowded as Rockefeller Center. I mean, look, it's a smaller space, so it does get a little tight, but a little bit less people than the masses that go over to see the huge tree over at Rockefeller Center. So something to keep your eyes on, folks, if you're in the NYC area. Oh, Gabby, so as you know, the Comme des Garçons foam posits were released last weekend. And no, I was unsuccessful in securing them, which, I mean, no surprise. And, I feel like for a moment I was like, man, because I was kind of like thinking about envisioning getting them, right? Where I was like, oh, what outfits would I wear? And I was, right? And I was like, I was slowly getting like, maybe, but no. And then it's like, okay, there's StockX, there's eBay. Do I want to go on those sites and pay? At this current moment, I do not. However,
you might. You got to treat yourself for your birthday.
well, I was just
you
going
know?
to say,
I mean,
it is my birthday coming up, and it is the holiday season, so I might treat myself. I'm thinking about it. We'll see.
I like that, Jarod. I think you should. I mean, I'm constantly treating myself when it comes to sneakers, which is why I save the bigger ticket items for larger purchases.
You're like,
you know,
it's treat yourself any day for Gabby.
I know. It's like the meme that says, like, me, treat yourself, bank account, do not treat yourself. Like, that's one of the perks of not having an apartment, folks. You have a lot more of a budget.
That's true. You can treat yourself more now. No apartment.
I'm going to be undead stocking a pair for tonight's VGK game. Very excited. Maybe I'll show you guys on Instagram.com, perhaps.
on stories or reels?
Oh, maybe both.
Oh, fancy.
Whenever I wink, it means I have no idea what the plan is. So,
I do know there's a pair of Jordan 11s that we talked about that is coming out. How are we feeling about maybe potentially trying your luck at getting them?
So I want to talk about the 11s in general for a moment, right?
Sure,
and then we talked a little bit about the cool grays
last week. But these are not the grays, the ones I'm talking about.
No, we're not specifically talking about the cool grays here, but I don't know if you noticed this. There was a lot of chatter on the interwebs, specifically the Instagrams, about the cool grays because they did a surprise drop for a few people, some influencer seeding and whatnot. So people started to go bananas over them before even the release date. And I think, like, you know, Jordan has been known, especially over the past 5 years, of doing a big holiday, full family release of one of their iconic 11s specifically.
Always.
So this is no different, but I would love to know, Jarod, did you partake in any of the conversation around these 11s, or what did you think of the back and forth, knowing that, like, it's a pretty consistent model that Jordan Brand has.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't a surprise.
Every Christmas, right? Or you know, thereabout. Like the December holiday season. Sorry, if you celebrate Hanukkah or Kwanzaa or anything else, or you're agnostic from all these holidays in general, around this time of year, the 11s are a release they do. Last year was the Jubilee, 25th anniversary, I mean, this is what they do. As the 11 being one of my favorite silhouettes in the Jordan line, I like it. Everyone that comes out isn't a win or a hit for me. But in terms of like people getting seated in the conversation online, like, look, you know how I feel about that. They do what they do for a specific reason. Now, as you know, when I am someone lucky enough to get these things, I am 100% cool with that. So in the same vein, if someone else gets it and I don't get it, it's fine. Like, right? Why am I mad? Yeah, why am I mad because I didn't get that particular pair? I got others, right? So it just is what it is, right? So I'm cool. No need to get mad, people. You just move on.
I don't know, those animal print J's though.
I know, and we talked about them a little bit, but I mean, so for me, no, that's a no. But
it's I want to see how they look in person for me, because I feel like those are one of those things that I think are gonna kind of fly under the radar. I think, will the bot snatch them up because they're an 11? It's the holidays?
The bots are gonna get them. I feel like,
I mean, I felt the same way about the 1985 dunks that I wanted a couple months ago. Right? Is that they should probably not been on resale.
Probably not.
But because they have the word draw in them, everybody
went nuts.
Out. I mean, and that's why if you look on like the StockX's, the Goats, all of the resale platforms in the industry, everything is like $200, maybe less. People aren't making a profit off of these. So I'm hoping that people eventually kind of back off on some of the less hype pairs.
I have a feeling, Gabby, you're going to be able to cop a pair of the animal print J's, because the bots are going to snatch them. So I know you're going to try sneakers, whatever, but the bots will snatch them. You go resale. I think you'll be able to get them pretty close to what they are at retail. I don't imagine those being $400 or $500. Not because I don't think they're dope, but I think because it's animal print, it's a very
niche pair.
Yes,
I think they're gonna
it's very specific
sizes, or if there's a man who's really swaggy and can rock them.
Yeah,
I think that's what it's going to be.
It's going to be very specific.
Hit up our girl Dolly and see if I can get my name for waiting list.
I think it's going to be very specific, and I have a feeling you're going to be able to get your hands on a pair of those. And being as someone I know you love animal print. I know
in New Jersey.
I know your point. You want to, because on the pictures it looks one way, and then because the
rabbit leather,
the rabbit leather 7s, right? Like they look green to you, and I'm like, no, those are gray. But I get it. Like, that's how the picture looked. So you need to kind of see them in your hands and in natural lighting or whatever lighting you're at, what they look like.
Totally. And I know there's a ton of releases coming out. I mean, me and everybody else is probably most excited about the patent band ones.
Mm-hmm.
Very excited about that iteration. I like when Nike plays not just with the colorways, but they do like remixes of fabrics. I mean, I think like the Shattered Backboards that came out in the patent, those were super fire. That's not as much my bag in terms of colorways, but I like the idea. You know how I feel about the satins when they play around with that.
That's your jam.
I'm excited to see these. I mean, these are going to be ones that people are going to be really going for. Really curious, though, if those are going to drop on time. I mean, I know
supply chain issues.
Holiday is scarcity, right? It's like people can't get their hands on anything.
Yeah.
So I think to that vein, though, resale platforms are going to have a really good year. You know, our friends at Another Lane, the eBays and StockX's of the world, like places that you can actually have inventory in hand to be able to get them.
Yeah.
I think that's where the real Secret Santa is going to lie this holiday season.
I think you're right about that. It is the people who have inventory in hand are going to really do well because supply chain issues are real. Like, there are just certain 100%. Things that, like, you just can't find it. It's like, what? I don't, like, and it's, you think about simple things like a particular brand of soap or, like, whatever. It's like, why can't we, like, yeah, supply chain people. So this holiday season will be very, very interesting. I'll be curious. Follow our guy Matt Powell on Twitter.com, and Gabby and I are making these jokes because our guest coming up. You know, I like to refer to her as the Queen of Dad jokes. So I think you guys will really, really enjoy hearing from her.
I say she gives me a run for my money, running those fresh kicks.
I was gonna say, because you, Gabby, also enjoy a good dad joke, but yeah, she likes to drop a good pun.
True
But yeah, no, the supply chain issues are real, and it will be very, very interesting to see from a sneaker standpoint what actually is out there. And I think you're right, like, because of the inventory at places like StockX and eBay and Another Lane, like, hey people, if you got. Because the other thing, too, is with COVID, what happened was people's forecasts for their earnings, whether you're a big company or a small business, mom and pop shop, right? It's off. So as a result now, like, right, what can you pivot to do to try to recoup that money and make some of it back that didn't come in over that time frame? Well, folks, stay tuned, because coming up next, special guest, she is a hosts, reporter, entertainer, TV personality. You've seen her in these streets if you were in the New York City metropolitan area. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone. And Gabby, we are not alone. We are joined by New York Giants sideline host, reporter for WFAN, Giants games. She contributes to the post game on MSG. She's a host for Sports Illustrated. I mean, she has 17,000 jobs. The wonderfully talented Madelyn Burke. How are you, Maddie?
I'm so great. Thrilled to be part of this show today. I like how you started with "We are not alone." It made me a little scared at first, Jarod, but you know what? I was like, I'm going to embrace it. Who's here? And then I was like, wait, me. It's me. I'm here.
Who's here? See, ding. By the way, that's the counter. One. We already got one dad joke in. One. We
Count
got
all
the counter.
the tragic jokes.
I'm here for all of them. I just want you to know I appreciate a good dad joke. Jarod can attest to that.
Oh, yes. Listen, that's why the two of you, it's going to be quite the spectacular. Listen, so we had your boy, Brandon London, on, who you co-host Giants Big Blue Access with. And, he was saying some things like, oh, we got to get Maddie on. I'm like, yeah, well, I know Maddie. So fucking, she's here. You're here.
And
welcome.
Voila. Say it and it shall be. And voila. No, Brandon's the greatest. Brandon and I have been co-hosts of Access Blue for 6 years now. And it's just one of those things. He's like my work brother. And we've got such a good back and forth going on now in the show that it's so much fun. And if you guys are in the New York, New Jersey area, check it out on MSG, because you got to get the plugs in here too. Like, this is me not so shamelessly plugging the content.
Plug
right
it
there.
all.
We got
Plug
those
it all.
shows. Brandon also appears on Giants Post Game Live that I'll be hosting after the games, and so just get the plug walk out of the way before we
I love it.
dive in.
Gotta plug yourself. All right, so Maddie, you're out there. I mentioned all the 17 million jobs you have, but it didn't start that way, right? So where did your love for telling stories, being on camera, and all of that come from? I mean, I kind of know, but I want everyone else to know.
I mean, I guess how much do we want to unpack here?
Let's start from the beginning. Let's start from see, that's exactly where I'm going. Let's start from the beginning.
No, I mean, so I grew up an only child. I have a brother who is 15 years younger than I am. So I don't want to like discredit my brother Marco, love him to death, but like my formative years were very much all about me. So like, yeah, no. But really, I always loved writing, and when I went to college, it was high school newspaper and all that kind of stuff. I went to college at Arizona State.
Sun Devils?
To the Sun Devils, yeah, to major in good times and minor in journalism. Ended up majoring in journalism, though, which is great. And while I was there at the Cronkite School, I thought, okay, I'm going to be writing, I'm going to be into news, but kind of really felt the weight and the heaviness that is news reporting, and I felt like that wasn't on brand for me. So through just a series of fortunate events, and Monday Night Football came to town and asked for some people to help work on it, and through a long convoluted story, I actually got rejected from being part of the cable runners. They were hiring people to, you watch a game, you see on the sideline that there's a camera guy and then the person running behind him over-undering the cables. And I was like, please pick me, as did everyone else in the journalism school. So I got rejected, sent a thank you note, and the next day got a call saying like, hey, never been thanked for rejecting someone for anything. And not, to be honest, you were on this short list of candidates. It was just a numbers thing. But hey, instead of being a cable runner, why don't you come be an office PA?
And you're like,
and
okay.
That Monday Night Football means essentially like making sure there's snacks around, making sure the talent knows when they have to be on set, getting people to and from their hotels, driving people to go get lunch and all that kind of stuff, just kind of running errands or doing all the little chores that other people are too busy to do on a production like Monday Night Football. It was 3 days, got to be around some of the best in the business, Stuart Scott, Susie Colbert, and just kind of embrace it. And then the game, I mean, the Bears win with no offensive touchdowns. Devin Hester's running it back like nobody's business. Denny Green has one of the most iconic post-game pressers. You want to crown them? Crown them.
We are who we thought they were.
Yes, exactly. The Bears are who we thought they were. And I was like, yeah, this is what I want to do. And that was like the pivotal moment in my journey where I was like, this is the path I'm going to go on. I need to be around this in some way and pivot my skill set to be in this field. So long story long, now here I am.
I love it. Were you at Arizona State at the same time as the bearded James Harden? Do you guys overlap?
I absolutely was.
I
we
thought
both
so.
lived in the towers my sophomore year of college. Yeah. So that was a lot of fun. James, Jeff Pendergraph, now Jeff Ayers. That basketball team, that was a fun basketball team to watch. That was before, the Sun Devils had so many gimmicks, like the free throw wall and all that. That wasn't there yet in my time, but Harden to relevance in his very brief time there, and it was a blast.
He sure did. All right, so you're doing the Monday Night Football thing. They got you doing the PA. You're like, I got to be in this world. So when you graduated, like from there, you stay out west in LA or Arizona? Like what was the first, like, all right, menial job that like, all right, I'm getting paid $18,000 a year, but I'm in this world and this is what I want to do?
Well, so it's interesting because all throughout college, I continued to stay in touch. After that Monday Night Football game, I, kept in touch with the people who hired me there. I ended up doing the same job for the Super Bowl that was at that same stadium in Arizona. And I think you might remember it. The Giants played the Patriots, and the Patriots had been undefeated, but David Tyree made a really great catch in that game. So I had like a streak, honestly, of just working some ridiculous games. The following year, I worked as a PA for the Super Bowl, and it was like that Santonio Holmes toe drag swag catch, but it was the Steelers and the Cardinals. And so I was doing a lot of that during school. And my professors would always kind of tell me, like, you need to stop being so narrow focused on sports, right? They were like, you got to do other stories. You got to do news stories. So I would go do a community story that involved Larry Fitzgerald. Like I always found some way of like looping it back to that. And I was constantly told, no, you can't just work in sports. You have to do news. You're going to have to do local news. And this is 2005, 6, 7, 8, 9, whatever. I graduated from ASU in 2009. And at that time, like, they were still of the mindset that you have to go to, Portland, Maine, or, Duluth, Minnesota to get your start and work your way up the ranks. And for me, I understood that was the formula that had worked for so many people, but I just didn't feel like that was going to work for me. So I graduated, I moved back home to LA, didn't have a job. So I was, got a part-time job working at a gym. Also, sorry to you listeners, I live in New York City. We got, we got ambient noise over here.
We got things always. That's how it goes.
Things happening. So moved back home to LA, moved back in with my dad, got a job, checking people in at a gym, and just would go to events to cover them. Even if nobody was paying me to do it yet, I just would show up and do it. So I'd get my little camera, I'd go shoot like Baron Davis, who became a friend through my cousin was his agent. Long story long. He had a kickball game, a celebrity kickball game. So I went and I covered it, and I made a little package and I put it on YouTube or things like that. And I was at Pac-10 at the time, Media Day. Now, of course, Pac-12, but back then it was Pac-10. And I walked into the lobby of the hotel that it was at, and there's nobody there except for this man in his suit. And I was like, hey, are you here for that? And he's like, I'm also looking for it. So we start walking, trying to find the event together. And he asked me what I'm doing there, and I tell him, and I'm like, yeah, I just graduated. I want to do this, but nobody's paying me to do it yet, so I'm just doing it. And I said, what about you? And he goes, oh, I'm the vice president of Fox Sports. I'm like, oh, of course you are.
So casual.
Suddenly, like, immediately just thinking about, what did I just say? Did I say it right? But, like, thank God I didn't know who he was when I was just like, oh, yeah, this is who I am. And got an opportunity through that to come in and do, like, just an audition just for fun, just to get on tape. And that ended up leading to my first job, which was hosting a national college football magazine show for Fox Sports called Running with the Pack. And it was a Pac-10 at the time show. We'd go to every school in the conference, interview a football player, a coach, do a magazine story on a women's team, do like some man on the street stuff. And it's like unheard of, right? Yeah. To have your first job be a national show. And of course that didn't last long. Like I made a lot of mistakes at that point in my career, and I was still very green and still very much learning how to do this. And that's why you don't start on a big stage. I think, the final product turned out fine, but it took a lot of editing, a lot of coaching. And like, you don't just come out the gate like winning Emmys. Like, and if you do, like, kudos to you for that. But, and so, and that happened. And while I was doing that, I kind of started, I loved the NBA. So I started meeting with people in the NBA and thinking, okay, how can I create a role for myself? And, I can shoot, I can edit, I can produce, I can publish, I can give you a final finished product. And I met with Raymond Ritter with the Warriors, and he was very much like, I think, you got some good here. I'm not sure we're ready to go that direction. He goes, but you should talk to Joe Safety with the Clippers. Talk to Joe. He's like, you know what? I want to use you. And that's how I created this thing we called LAC TV, which was the Clippers digital content at that time. Like not every team had, this is 2009. Like not every team had a team reporter.
You were ahead of the curve.
And then the following year, I saw Raymond at Summer League, and he says, you know what? I should have hired you because now I'm looking for someone to do exactly what you're doing. But it was great. So I did the Clippers stuff for 4 years, and I turned it from, just like a very low budget one-man band thing to a full-time job, traveling with the team, covering every game, every practice, every community event, and worked my butt off. And then 6 years ago, moved to New York, and now I'm here doing the Giants. And it's life is a lot of twists and turns and ups and downs, and I just feel like I could just ramble on about all this stuff. And I don't know. Hopefully it is interesting and valuable information, because there's a lot of failure on the way.
For sure.
Oh, yeah.
I was saying, I feel like nobody really talks about kind of those bumps in the road and that it's okay to make mistakes. But one thing that I'd love to talk to you about is, also being a female that works in sports. Talk about that and the different challenges that come with that and the nuances and what you do.
Yeah, it's very challenging. And I'll be honest, I've always been very mindful of, how you present yourself, how you carry yourself, because people are going to talk, people are going to make assumptions regardless. But I don't want to give them any reason to, right? And so I've always been very driven, very about my business, but that doesn't stop people from coming up with, blog posts or Twitter comments or things like that are pretty hurtful, and you try to stay away from that. But it is challenging because as a female, you can't move in the same way as a man in this space does, right? If you want to be a reporter, if you want to cover a team, it's natural to have relationships with the players, with the coaches, and to have communications with them. And I've always been very, I have certain rules, like, I'm not going to text anybody late at night or, out of business hours or things like that. There's certain things that I'm like, this is appropriate, this is respectful and all that kind of stuff. But it still becomes challenging because you have to navigate this line of people, well, why are you texting this person? Because we work together, because I'm trying to understand, I'm trying to do my job. And I think that can be challenging. There's something that if a man does it, it would be totally acceptable. But if a woman does it, she must have different motives. And it's hard that in this age and in this time that, we've made so much progress in, looking at people. It's like, oh, a woman can do this, a man can do this. But there's still so many of these like small aggressions and these small judgments that are constantly being made, especially with women against other women. And that's the hardest part. And I think that that's one of the things that, I recommend and I'm grateful for is like find other women, find your tribe of women that are in the same industry and support each other, like let's lift each other up rather than trying to push each other down, because there's enough room for all of us to shine here. And nobody's going to steal your thunder by having their own,
Yeah. No, so, that makes so much sense, Maddie. And, Gabby, this is something we always talk about, is the challenges of women in this business. And, we've been fortunate. We've had a lot of really outstanding women in the business on this podcast, like yourself, Maddie. And it is tough for all of you. And the one thing I do know is that the microaggressions and all those things, like they take a toll. But, you guys continue to set awesome examples for others. And I think it's great. And I think, hopefully we are slowly moving ourselves away from this horrendous culture. Although with stuff in the news, it doesn't seem like we're actually moving away, right? It's like, oh, look, this is happening again. Shocking. Moving on into more pleasant thoughts. So not only are you constantly, you're on camera, you do NFL, NBA, you cover everything. I've seen some stuff recently. You're also doing some brand partnerships. Talk about how you evolve from, all right, ASU student, one-man band, and now I'm not going to say you're the face of a campaign, but in many ways, you do some pretty cool things.
Far from it. I have an Instagram account. That's I think, that stuff all happened pretty organically, really. And it was, it was a slow evolve, and then it started to grow. And as you do more, other brands will notice and they'll say, oh, hey, we want to send you things. And I think that it's fun because, on social media, I think I've always tried to just be a very authentic representation of who I actually am. I don't ever want people to say like, oh, well, in real life, she's like, in real life, I'm exactly the same doofus as I am on my story. Like, I don't know. I don't want to play a character. I just show people part of who I am. And I think that has helped in being that authentic person. And with some of the branding stuff, there's various avenues that has popped up, right? I work with Carl Banks, who, of course, Super Bowl champion, Giants linebacker, but also has a company, G3 Sports, and they've got, Starter and DKNY and Tommy Hilfiger and Touched by Alyssa Milano and all these brands. And this hoodie, too, another plug. This is one of the Carl Banks branded. But it started because he used to have little pieces of clothing for the Giants, and he'd, put them out on and be like, hey, here's something for you guys just as colleagues, right. And I'd always put it up on Instagram and try to be like, oh my gosh, let me gas up this brand because I think that it's sharp. I paid for some of it too. I'm like, this is amazing. And then it started being like, hey, you know what? Like, I like the way that you present yourself and the things that you enjoy on Instagram, and you could help my brand. And so, I started helping Carl with Carl's company with some of that stuff, and other friends of mine have things that they're like, oh, hey, will you promote this? And I also won't promote things that I don't actually use or like. Like, I had a beef jerky reach out to me, and they wanted to pay me dollars to promote beef jerky.
Beef jerky time.
I don't like beef jerky. I'm not going to take your money because I don't like beef jerky, and I respect those who do. But and so I think that also keeps it like, I don't know. I'm just like, hey, this is what I like, and this is what I recommend. And if you like it, cool. If not,
I love it.
Cool.
Well, one of the ones I saw recently that I was like, oh, look at this. I think it was the Moose Knuckle partnership. I was like, look at that. That is some quality stuff. So when you get stuff in the mail, like, how exciting is that? I mean, Gabby knows, like, because she just got seeded her first set of swag the other day, and it's like, when you get that little notification that the FedEx package is coming, you're just like, ooh, what is it? What is it? What is it?
It hits different.
It hits different. But first of all, I would just like to put the audience on to the fact that, like, swag has evolved into such, like, oh, he's got swag, she's got swag. But it's such an old industry term that just stands for stuff we all get. Yeah. That's what it means.
Exactly.
That's where the word comes
from. That out because people forget that it's an acronym.
Exactly.
And not just
And, like, I was having this conversation with a friend of mine the other day. She's like, I've never knew that. And I was like, how? But, like, growing up around, you hear that, and it's like, no, it used to be like, oh, it's just a swag bag. It's stuff we all get. And then now it's like, oh, it's such a good thing. That being said, I love a good swag package. I love it because I like presents. Gifts are one of my love languages. But also, I think it's really cool, and I feel honored to be thought of as somebody who gets to experience these things and say, like, okay, here's something that I've created. I want to give it to you to see if it's something that you like and if you can help me make it bigger. And I think we all, whatever we create, whether it's a podcast, a show, a YouTube video, a clothing item, a shoe, we all need help from other people, from our peers, from our tribe to elevate it and to make sure, because people aren't going to know if they like it if they don't know it exists, right? And I think that that's something that's really cool. And I feel really grateful that some people think of me to say, hey, I need your help letting other people know this exists. And that's just like such a cool place to be. So, yeah.
Did you, so obviously we're a sneaker podcast. Did your love of sneakers come as a result of swag, or was it, I was into sneakers earlier on, but now that I'm who I am, it's grown. It's even bigger.
Every answer is okay, by the way.
Oh yeah. It's whatever.
Oh yeah, no, I'm gonna keep it real. I honestly, I can't tell you, like, most people have an origin story, right? Like remembering that first East Bay catalog or remembering like these little items. I don't have an origin story. Like, it just kind of was one of those like slow burns for me. And I think, working around people in the industry, especially in basketball, like, basketball really was one of those things that I've always admired. And I'm into art. I paint. I make most of the stuff that's hanging on my walls.
Look at you, talented.
I
love, like, I see beauty in a lot of things. And so I think some of the things with sneakers too is like looking at the colorways and the different like designs and shapes and patterns. Like, I just think it's such a beautiful, it's like art,
It is.
So I've always found it, and I've also always had just kind of my own style, like my own kind of unique taste in clothing and what I put together. So not just sneakers, I love shoes in general. And there's a line from this movie from like a long time ago, and it's like, well, no matter what size you are, no matter where you're going in life, the shoes always fit, right? You got your jeans that sometimes they fit, sometimes they're a little snug. You got your favorite shirt that sometimes it's like, it's a little tight today. The shoes are always going to fit. So I love like a good pair of shoes, and that and sneakers too are always just like, so that's evolved, and that's kind of became one of those things. And I'm not getting like boxes of shoes. Like, I've had a couple pairs of shoes gifted to me, but I am just like everybody else, getting the no, you were not selected in today's draw on sneakers. And then
Ooh.
going on StockX and placing a bid that I never think is going to be filled, and then getting notified that it's filled, and I'm like, oh damn, I just bought those. Okay.
Jarod,
So
I'm not the
that's
only
my
one that has
drink.
happened to.
Listen, I know you're not. Listen, the struggle's real out there. We know. I mean, I think for me, Gabby, as you know, is like I just know that I'm going to get rejected, so I'm like, I'm not even going to bother trying, right? Although, if it's something that I really want, or if I'm looking for something for you, I will roll the dice, even though rejection's coming.
I know, but those surprise StockX, though, Maddie, I've done the same thing where I'm like, let me just watch the stock market. I'm going to go super low, and then all of a sudden it's like, surprise, it's on the way. I'm like, oh.
Or you get the email like it's been sent to StockX for authentication. I was like, wait, I got what? When did I buy that?
Great.
Wait, Gabby,
So
that's like the time you accidentally
actually
bought
quite
sneakers on StockX?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm glad that I'm not alone, Jarod. It's amazing.
In the last month, I've accidentally bought 2 pairs of shoes.
Nice.
Love that.
Yeah, it's just, I didn't think I was going to take this bid. Oh, I'm actually going to pay for these now. Cool.
It's never things you don't want.
Oh, no,
I mean,
of
I'm
course.
not going to bid on trash.
Well, that's why you bid, because you want them.
It's also like one of those things. It's like it's monopoly money, right? You're like, I feel like if I put this number in, maybe I'll win, and then all of a sudden that number has been deducted from your bank account.
It's like Price is Right. $1.
If I could get some J's for $1, I would be all about that.
Oh,
I'd be
man.
playing that game.
If we had real, like, imagine if we had real, like, Price is Right, but, like, not with, because everyone knows what the prices of Jordans are, because you can just look them up, but, like, a real where you can actually go, what do you think the actual cost of this shoe is? And you win that way, I'd always bet $1. That's probably closer to what it costs to actually make these things.
Who knows? That also makes me feel really sad about the amount of money that is in my closet right now.
Same. I mean, imagine not having rent on top of that. So that's your sneaker budget. I'm like, I just need to figure out what address to send these to.
Yeah, no, I think like my shoes need their own. They need their own apartment at this point. Like,
I mean, listen, that's
if you need a roommate for that apartment, you let me know. I'll go split skis with you.
there we go. There we go.
I love
I'm
it.
here
So
for it.
your time around NFL athletes, NBA athletes, who would you say that you've come in contact with has the best sneaker game in your estimation? That you've come, I mean, we know who the sneaker kings
PJ
are,
Tucker.
but well, I've said assuming you've been in contact with them and you know them and whatever.
I mean, yeah, I've met PJ Tucker. He's got a great sneaker game. But it's also like, that's like low hanging fruit, right?
Yes, PJ's
like,
low hanging fruit.
Yeah, I think also Saquon, his new shoe that just came out is so strong. And I was actually talking to him about it, and I was like, this shoe is so great. And I was like, dude, I know that literally everyone is asking you for these shoes, so I'm not going to be that person, but I'm also not going to not tell you that if a men's 8.5 like comes across your desk that you don't know what to do with. Like, but and he just laughed it off or whatever. But I just told him, I was like, yeah, I know I'm going to get rejected by sneakers, which I did. But Saquon's shoe is actually one of the ones that I was like, oh, I wonder if I bid like 206, like his number is 26. And like at that point they were going for like $400. So I was just being like, oh, this will be fun to be involved in the game. And then all of a sudden I got the shoes and I was like, oh no.
You're in now.
You know what? I'm supporting my teammate and colleague, Saquon Barkley.
There you go. Staying within the Giants fam. When he played, I thought Victor had a nice shoe game too. Victor Cruz also had some nice kicks.
Victor in my head, Jay.
Victor still has a nice shoe game, and Victor is now we have a revolving door of analysts. So I host the post game show, and then our analysts revolve between David Deal, Sean O'Hara, Monty Toomer, and Victor Cruz. And Vic's got like his style game has always been so strong, but it has gone up to another level right now. He's on that like post playing career. Like, I'm not a businessman, I'm a businessman vibe, and
I love it. I
can't
love
be
it.
mad at it. Yeah.
It's true, though. That's what I like about Saquon, though. I feel like he was following in the footsteps, pun not intended, of Victor Cruz with that Air Trainer silhouette.
Yeah, that and like the bow nose, like it was very Bo Jackson.
Oh yeah, very
too.
bow nose.
Like, there's a lot of hat tips, and I think too, like Saquon he's very good with like knowing the vintage hat tip kind of thing. And he's got a lot of vintage gear too that he'll pull out, which I respect. So
No, for sure. No, Saquon, Love Saquon. Love the Giants. We're hoping better skies are ahead for the team in blue over the next several
Hey,
weeks
life
here.
is long, you know? A lot of ball game left.
A lot of ball game left. Maddie, one of the things you talked about earlier was, how your professors tried to tell you got to do news, you can't just do sports. But even though you would do that, you kept finding a way to go back to sports and connecting it, like you said. And you did the jobs you said for free and without getting paid. But I want you to talk to the people about following your passion, because that's what it was for you. And that's why for you it wasn't work. So you could see it as, look, I'm going to do what I got to do, collect memberships at a gym, sell whatever I got to sell to make the money that I need. But in my spare time, because this is my passion, I'm going to just follow it, because I'm not giving up until I get wherever there is.
Yeah, I think, it's just always been important to me to be true to who I am and not to try to be somebody else, not to try to be, oh, let me emulate this person that I like or that path that somebody else told me was the right one or whatever, because I think we all know what feels right and what feels on brand for who we are versus what feels like I'm trying to force this because I feel like I should do this to get to where I need to go. And I think if you listen to that and you trust it, and a lot of people, coming out of college especially, you come out with a graduating class of a bunch of people with the same major who want to do the same job, who want to have the same thing. There's not that many jobs out there. But one thing that I noticed is that there are so many people who at this point, 10, 12 years after graduating from college that aren't in the industry anymore. And I think that the constant with those people was they all had a plan B. And they all said, well, if this doesn't work out, I'm going to do that. And it was a very detailed plan B. And I'm just like, I never really had a plan B. I'm like, this is what I want to do. And if it doesn't work out, I'm going to find another way to do it. And it's not like I stopped myself from having a plan B or like I stopped myself from choosing an alternate path. Like, it's more just like I understood that this is what I want to do and this is what I'm good at. And, I think there's a lot of people that are going to reject you along the way. There's a lot of people that are going to tell you that you aren't right for this or I got so many comments about how messy my hair always is, and it's always messy, and that's okay. I'm not going to be perfectly put together. I don't have the Channel 11 news bob, I won't. That's not who I am. And back then, I think that was the look that they're like, well, if you're on TV, if you're on the news, you're hosting. It was very formulaic. And fortunately now it's evolved, and a lot of schools are offering more digital experience and alternate paths to get to where you are, because there's, that expression, there's more than one way to skin a cat, which is such a weird expression. I don't know where it came from. But it's an expression, but there's more than one way to get from A to B. And I think that you got to follow the path that is most authentic to who you are, because if you're doing something that's true to you, that passion shines through and people will hear it and people will feel it. Whereas if you're doing something that you don't feel good about or you don't feel comfortable in, that also is going to shine through. And that's not going to translate to success, because people are going to feel that lack of comfort or that uncertainty or that, and I think that it's, it's a lot of energy on top of everything else.
No, that was extremely well said. Look at that, folks. We're dropping gems and good advice for you here.
Absolutely.
Make sure you're soaking it all up. And that's a great place for us to stop, because coming up next, America's favorite segment, Shoe and Tell, presented by AnotherLane.com. I have a feeling Maddie's got some pretty nice things for us to see. I don't know what they look like yet, but I got a feeling. Stay tuned.
Ooh, no pressure.
What's up, guys? We are back, and you know what time it is. America's favorite segment, Shoe and Tell, presented by Another Lane. Guys, Chad and Adina Jones, husband and wife, founders of this amazing sneaker marketplace and platform. Make sure you are heading over there and checking it out. If you are looking for kicks that you may not be able to find, I'm 99%, I'm 100% certain that if you reach out to Chad, he will find them for you. Now, going to cost you some bread, obviously, depending on whatever it is that you're looking for. But the Sneaker Galactus himself, he will find it and get it for you. Plus, it's a great community, awesome people to share insights with. What do you like? What do you don't like? You can maybe do some trades for those of you that have 4 pairs of a particular kind of shoe that you really don't need, but you want another one. Maybe do a little swap. Who knows? Anyway, anotherlane.com. Check it out. All right, Maddie, shoe and tell. This is really your segment, so the floor is yours.
This is exciting. So I was like looking at my little shoe babies earlier today, and I was like, who gets to come on TV today? And I decided we're going to start with, you need wardrobe staples, right? Everyone needs like a good, solid staple that you're like, but of course, Air Force One, I was like, all right, we all know that you're there. You don't need to have your moment in the spotlight. But I decided to start with another staple.
Oh, that is a Gabby favorite.
What has been my road sneaker?
That's a Gabby favorite.
Thank you. And for those of you listening on Spotify with no video, I have just revealed the Air Panda High. Just the classic black and white.
Yeah, perfect.
Clean look. It just goes with everything. And it's like, the black bottom too. It's easy to keep it clean looking because it's just a very clean shoe, and it's just a simple shoe, but it's a classic, right? It's not going to go out of style.
Versatile, all the outfits.
Can't go wrong with the dunk.
Can't go wrong with the dunk. And it's like, I don't know, it's a good look. And so that's my first one.
I like it.
This one I like a lot too because I feel like it's like, it's like a little different, a little special. This is Jordan Air Cadence. First of all, I'm gonna like show you the up close, like these little details, like how this goes all zigzaggy.
Yep, little Jumpman
I'm like
logo.
using the official terminology here, the zigzaggy. And like the bottoms have like this kind of Tiffany turquoise color, but it's mostly like a mushroom color cream with some white and black and red.
I like that.
The colors, there's a lot of beautiful colors, but it's not very like in your face. It's like a subtle, colorful shoe, and it's different. It's not a shoe. I think everyone's got 90 variations of the Dunk, 90 variations of the Jordan 1. Things like that. But this one, I don't know. I felt like it was just kind of like, you got a little something about you.
I like that.
So we're another one. And I like that when you showed us the sole, you wear your kicks. That's the most important.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You got to wear them. I mean, like, there's some shoes that you're like, you're too pretty to take off the shelf today. But, there's like the trophy shoes. And then there's like, but if you don't wear them, like they need to have a life too. They need to have an adventure, and they need to shine and be seen as well.
Well, as our good friend Sneaker Galactus told us, Maddie, before you continue, you have to take your shoes out of their boxes and wear them, because if you keep them in there, eventually all that material is going to start dissolving, and then you got crap because the soles are broken apart because you haven't aired them out. They've oxidized, sitting in their boxes all that long.
I think you've terrified Maddie officially right now.
Well, and they're called
out of her box as we speak.
They're called Air Jordans, not Closet Jordans.
See, there you go. Ding!
This is a very thoroughly worn shoe, but this is probably my favorite shoe. It is an all red NMD, and it's like it's red, but it's like a coral red. Like sometimes I wear it at training camp, and I'm standing next to the pylon. It like kind of is the same color, and shine bright like a pylon, right? I love it. These are like very like. They're very loud, but the monochromatic look of them kind of makes it not as aggressively loud. They've got, I don't know, I like them. They're super comfortable. I love the color. Red is a neutral. Don't tell me otherwise. I just write it back.
So at training camp, do the coaches say, did the ball touch Maddie's shoe? Is that what they say?
Yeah. Did it cross the plane? Was it inside Maddie's shoe? Duh.
That's the pylon.
If they ever lose a pylon, you just
you're
pop
ready.
This up in the corner, and you're welcome, NFL. Like, I got you. And then this one right here, this will be my final contribution to this conversation, because I wasn't sure how many shoes I should bring to shoe and tell, and I didn't want to bring be that kid who brought her whole baby collection.
We would be happy with that.
Bring all the Beanie Babies.
Yeah, fine.
And I did that one time, and it was a lot. This is my Nike Dunk High in the acid wash, black acid wash.
I like that.
God knows how I feel about this shoe.
You listen. This is your
I
jam.
can
Like
see the love in your eyes, Gabby.
she's looking longingly. It's
I like too, like the vintage look of
yeah.
this whole section.
Yeah. Yep.
I love a good tie dye, as you could tell by the hoodie I'm wearing.
Mhm.
Like I love this. It is the challenge though for me is like pairing it because the tan items in my wardrobe are a different shade of tan. So it's like, but I don't know. It's just so pretty. It's so pretty. And this is one of those shoes like I was talking about earlier where it's just like, it's art. Like I can't stop looking at it. I just want to be like, you're so beautiful. I hope you have a good day today. You know, like thank you for bringing me joy.
You're like talking to your kids.
Condo, you know, it says I can keep because you bring me joy every day.
I love that though.
Yeah, I got, you know, I like to say positive affirmations to my shoe babies because
well, because you know, Maddie, they probably feel some kind of way, right? Because you know how it is. You get into a groove, and there's like it's like, you know, parents don't want to admit this, but it's like their favorite kid. 2 or 3 you're kind of doing all the time, and then it's like the other ones get forgetting about it. And it's like, no, I didn't forget about you. I still love you too. So you gotta, you know.
It's just, you know, you got rotations, and then, you know, when you have a collection too, like there's sometimes where you just go in there just to like admire, and you're like, you're pretty, but I'm gonna still pick up this one because, you know.
Welcome to my shoe-tation. I hear you.
Yeah, it's you know, it's tough to balance it, but I also too like there are times when, you know, you've got the outfit planned and you're like, okay, which one am I going to pick? But then there are times when you're like, okay, today is your day. What's the outfit I'm going to build around you? And like, you know, it goes both ways. So.
I like that. That is because I flip as well. Sometimes it's, no, I'm wearing this outfit. So then it's like, all right, which one of the shoe kids gets to come? Other times it's, no, shoe kid going first. Which outfit's going to roll with shoe kid?
I would say I'm like 90-10 on that one. Shoes first.
But like when you're getting dressed, like I don't put the shoes on first. Well, that would just
no.
Yeah,
that would be weird.
But no, I know. But I'm like curating. Yeah. Like, look at me. This is how my brain gets sometimes after a long day, and I'm like, but like also not literally, but also literally.
Depends on the fit.
I love it. Yeah. Maddie, this has been great. We've had such a good time chatting in with you. Tell the people where they can find you.
On the World Wide Web, it's worldwide. If you go on a website on twitter.com, my handle is Madelyn Burke. It's MADLYNBURKE. Instagram, same thing. TikTok, I got an underscore between because somebody else took my name.
Who
but
the hell is that Madelyn Burke on TikTok?
You know, so my name is my name. And then, you know, if you're in New York and you watch Giants postgame on MSG or content on Giants.com and Giants social media outlets, all over the place. You know, I'm trying to stay busy and keep y'all entertained. And I'll be flexing some cute fall fits on Instagram.com if you want to check it out.
Instagram.com. I fucking love it. This is fantastic. And folks, that is another episode of the Kicks and Shit Show. As always, we are part of the Count the Dings family. You can find us on the Bomb podcast feed with the original Bomb show, with Crazy Sexy Cool, with Woke Bros, with Grown Up the Same, Rap Names, and of course, us. And we are too on Instagram.com and Twitter.com. You can find us at Kicks and Shit Show. TikTok, we're working on that, right, Gabs?
Yeah, right on top of that, Rose.
Right on top of that, Rose. I appreciate that reference.
Until next time, guys. Peace.